Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Dirty Closet podcast, where I can say words, where even if your closet is clean, it is dirty today.
Ooh, filthy.
Filthy, dirty.
What are you doing? Not cleaning.
That's right. And I am Charlie Rocket, along with my co-host.
The rise of J. Jones, aka J. Jones with Flair, El Presidente,
Yes.
Lord Sensei.
Yes.
And today, it's not just us.
I know.
We have somebody special, but I'm gonna have you lead us in with this.
We have a special guest today. It is my good friend, cosplayer, pinup model, and complete baddie, Scarlett Spitfire.
Oh, what an introduction. Thank you. I am just like so excited to be on this podcast. I love y'all so much. I love Charlie forever and ever and ever.
I mean, I
Talking
can't
about
believe
that.
it.
Right.
I mean, really, a lot of our work that we've done and a lot of stuff, photography wise, modeling wise, we've kind of come up together. We did stuff together, we learned together, we shot together. Like it's been, we've been pretty tight.
Very much so. We go way back.
Yeah.
I feel like you're now one of my oldest cosplay friends at this
Right?
point.
I love it. I love it.
I was actually
It's so funny when I looked at both of you, I said neither one of you can use the word old.
right.
Well,
Yeah, take that out the dictionary.
I was just telling JJ about when I met you, and it was at a convention, and you had on a Batman bunny suit, and you had the blonde hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like Marilyn Monroe. She's hang out here.
She literally said that.
Gentlemen prefer blondes, like all of it. I was living. I was like struck.
That was a fire con too. That was so much fun. But like the same, like I was so like starstruck because we had like mutual friends at that time and we hadn't really gotten to meet each other yet. And I was like, I don't know how to talk to somebody who has a booth at a con and who's like faces on posters. And like I just bought this costume at Spirit Halloween. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And it just was like instantly. You were just super chill and cool. And like we were both like weird and funny and like it just worked.
I know. I was really like, why didn't anyone tell me? Like, what?
That's how it is sometimes,
Before this, right? Exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so fabulous. The makeup is flawless. I need to be like this.
So this is the way.
Meanwhile, this is your first time meeting JJ.
Yes, I've known about you forever.
Like, hey, I was gonna say, as much as I hear about you, I was like, long time, no.
But look, I've been a big JJ fan since like y'all got together because I could tell a huge difference in Charlie. Like, and I would tell her all the time, like having a good partner in your life, it makes that change. Like, it changes who you are, it changes how you feel. And so, like, I've always been like, even though I haven't like actually met you in person, I've always been like, oh yeah, he's JJ, like it's JJ and Charlie together,
even in her hardest time, she was always like, but me and Spitfire, we always had that, like, just nothing but positive things. You gotta understand, like, the people that you hold in your heart, like during a pandemic, you were still right in your heart. That means something special.
Yeah,
anybody that means that to my person, that's what I say, sight unseen, like we're golden. So
I love it.
Well, we're super excited to have you on the show, especially with an awesome topic like keeping the romance. I'm excited to talk about it. But before we get to that, let's talk about what's been new. What's been out? What's been out with you, Scarlett?
Well, JJ mentioned it, pandemic. We all went through this like, group trauma together. So we kind of were laying low during that time, kind of like everybody was. Nothing much was going on. So this year, I feel like 2023 has been the year of like empowerment, like the year of big things. Like people are coming into everything they've been waiting for and working on. And so like this year's kind of been like that for me too. Been getting back into cosplay, back into modeling, like trying to set stuff up, getting back into doing stuff like this, getting out there talking to people. So it's just been like really good energy this year. What I have coming up most recently is this weekend, same weekend as Animazement, I'm doing Fear Fest.
Yeah.
Which, Yes. Oh, and I'm sure we'll get into, but I tend to lean into like a lot of the horror stuff, all the scary
Yes, I was
stuff. I
just
love it.
telling him about that. That's
Oh, I
him.
love horror
That's
stuff.
I
his
love
Oh
it.
my
I love
goodness.
it. Especially like I'm a big horror comedy girl, so like
Yeah. Oh, you know
all
what I
that kind of
do? Me and my
stuff.
cousin, we with survival horror. You know,
Yeah.
there's like 10 people. We try to guess what the order is and
Yes.
things like that. Or if there'll be like at the end, one survivor, no survivor.
Yeah.
You know how they do.
And you're like, nope, we're dead.
Yeah.
If you're in charge, we're dead.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. So I'll be there this weekend. I'll be doing some celebrity interviews and stuff. I'm super excited about that. And then for the first time ever, we're going to Dragon Con
Oh,
this year.
you going to my city? You going
I'm
to
so
Atlanta?
I love Atlanta so much. I am so excited. Like we've been obviously 3 years got pushed back everything, but I think this is like the perfect year to go.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun.
I feel like that's like the East
Turn up.
Coast, like con dream.
Yes. Oh my God.
I've never been either.
Oh, well, I'll let you know. If you don't go this year, I'll
Yeah.
let you know how
Yeah,
it
it
is.
keeps getting pushed back for me as well.
What's so wild is I work downtown and I used to get stuck in Dragon Con traffic.
I
used to be like seeing them and I'd be like, dang, I wonder what that's like. And like the person I was with at the time was like, that's lame. And I was like,
those weirdos.
Right.
I was like, nah, like I don't want to be in this car.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to. What are they doing? It looks like they're having fun.
Oh, they turn.
Why is that person dressed up like a fox in a fursuit? What's going on?
Exactly. That's how I found Animazement.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I was like, oh, sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game. Can you please
Yeah.
That's exactly how I found Animazement, because actually today, the day that we're filming this, not the day it releases, it's actually my grandparents' anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
When they got married, now 14 years ago, goodness gracious, I was one of the bridesmaids. I was the maid of honor, and we had a reception downtown in Raleigh, and it was the same weekend as Animazement. And so while we were downtown, I saw a bunch of people in costume, and I was thinking, like, where are you guys going? What is this? What's going on?
Right.
And they told me all about it, and that's how I found out about conventions in North Carolina. I thought it was just like the big Comic Con, like in San Diego or something. I had no clue. And so I guess 14 years ago, I heard about convention.
Right. When we were coming up, it wasn't like it is now. Like everybody knows about it. Everybody wants to go to one. Everybody thinks it's cool. But when we were coming up, that was like some nerdy stuff, man. Yeah. Like, all right. Well, Josh is really the one that got me into cosplay full on, because when we met, or not so much when we met, but because we have that's a whole other story. Okay, I will save that for another time. But when we got together,
so we're already guaranteed a comeback.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. As much as y'all will have me back. But yeah, he at that point had built his Hellboy cosplay, and like he was winning that like costume contest and stuff, and he had built everything for it, and it was amazing. So he was already familiar with this kind of craft of cosplay, which was something that was really new to me. Yeah. I knew costumes, Halloween costumes, or like movie costumes in movies, or theater, because I'd done theater.
Yeah.
So I remember the very first thing we worked on together, and this is how like it's going to be good. When you can work on something together, and there's going to be some disagreements when you're working on things, or things aren't going to work out the way that you want, but how y'all interact in those moments, and whether it's a positive experience or a negative experience, really affects how the rest of the relationship is going to go,
That's a fact. Compassionate
conflict, yes,
is a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust how you feel in those moments. And he was doing a Gambit, and I did a Phoenix. And so first time ever, like sewing stuff onto a bodysuit, and we made the whole sash, and I helped him design a card that would glow, and just all these things we worked on together, and it was so cool. Dude, you gotta do it, man. He's awesome. But it just opened up this whole world of other things, and look at it where we are today, all like 10 years later. Wow. And like, Yeah, like still doing it,
Actually,
still
you guys
loving
had
it.
some pandemic years, so now it's like 17.
Right? We made it through
Y'all did,
that.
exactly. Woo!
Right?
Celebrate
Yes.
those.
Everybody who made it through pandemic and is still in love, like applause. Mm-hmm.
High
We
five
did
and
it.
a million angels.
Yes.
Thank you for telling me
We
that.
came out on top.
Yes, yes, indeed. Oh my gosh, that's a great way to segue into our topic, actually, keeping the romance.
Yeah. And speaking of keeping the romance, to keep the romance, you have to have the romance. So can we get a little bit of the origin story? Like how did the sparks fly? How did this begin? How did you and Josh become a we?
Well, I'll give you the abbreviated version, and then maybe
That's
we'll
fair,
come back to the longer version. But
we're here for
that's
it.
what I said. Hey, as long as you promise to come back, we're
I will. We were both products of, we had known each other prior to being married to other people. And so we got married to other people, and we kind of were both unhappy at the same time. And we'd kept up on Facebook, and we, talked here and there, but because we had kind of separate lives, we didn't communicate all that much.
Right.
But when he was going through his divorce and separation, he reached out to me, and it happened to be at a time where I was also like, this is not working for me. Like, I'm not happy. He's not a bad person, but it's just not, it's not happening. Right.
Yeah.
And so prior to that, there had always been kind of little feelings and sparks. So when he wrote me and we started talking together, it was kind of this immediate, like, you don't get second chances in life a lot, and it was like, all right, we got to at least give it a shot. Right. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We know we've had failed relationships. We know what we don't want in a relationship, and that it kind of just grew from there. And then we kind of realized we had so many similar passions, and we had similar like upbringings in a way, and we both like did theater, and we liked acting, and we liked singing, and we liked cosplaying, which I did not know. I at that point, that's what I was enjoying so much, right? And but the sparks just kind of went from there. And like I said, like, we've known each other for maybe close to 15 years, but 10 years together, and it's just like these passions have just grown, and you inspire each other when you're in a healthy relationship and you want to see the other person happy. You do things to make them happy. You work every day. You choose every day to be in love with that person, right?
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're making that commitment, and all this kind of fun stuff can come along with that, right? If you're both in tune, you're both on the same page, you don't have to worry about that, and it just lets everything else be easy.
Yeah.
Right.
We for sure both came from other relationships where I mean, we talked about it before, we're both divorced. And so I think there's a lot of lessons that you learn from your previous relationships that kind of help you guide to what you want out of a relationship going forward. Do you have any like specific lessons that you might have learned in the past that help you now in your present, in your current relationship?
Oh yeah. So like my ex, for example, he was not into any of this kind of stuff, right? We didn't really go to the movies that much. We didn't really like keep up with any kind of nerdy stuff at all. It was not something that he had in his life, nor did he really have an interest into having into his life. So one of the things coming out of that relationship was, there are things that I want out of a partner that I'm not going to make concessions for, non-negotiable, right? Non-negotiable things. And that's okay. It is okay to have, and people call them standards or whatever, but I wouldn't say standards so much. I would say, like, what you want in a partner, what's going to make you happy. What do you like? You like to sing, you like to dance. You got to be with someone who's comfortable with doing that kind of stuff, right? And if not, then sometimes it works, right? Sometimes a bird and a fish, it works, and they are happy. But for me, I need a partner. I need a ride or die. Like, I need someone to be with me and like want to like Bonnie and Clyde the shit. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I need.
gang.
Right.
Yeah, right. All the way. Like,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I learned from my last relationship was somebody can be a great person and somebody can, not hurting you, nothing's wrong. But if you're unhappy, this is your life and you only
Yeah.
have the one, and you can't live it for someone else in a negative way, and you
Yeah.
can't let someone else live it for you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a fact.
That was a big thing I picked up from that.
Oh yeah, it's just like what you say. This is not our practice life,
Yeah, I'd be like, this ain't your practice life. You might as well live it how you want to.
Mm-hmm. And if it is, we'll never know. So,
Exactly. Hey, let me tell you something. They were like, wow, he was getting lots in practice.
Right.
But I can tell you something. I really relate to what you said in a very big way, because in a past relationship, I had issues like being my full self, as far as like, to the point I would even mention just like anything comic book related or Marvel movies are out, and then all of a sudden it was okay, because you know how like whatever's mainstream they're cool with. So like if their friends can go to it, or somebody at like their job is talking about it, it's A1, it's perfectly fine. But before that, like, let me mention, they had the whole animated Black Panther series out before the movie Black Panther came out. I was trying to watch it on Netflix. Oh, that was a problem. When the movie came out and everybody's talking about it, oh no, Wakanda forever.
Yeah.
I was like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it makes you feel wild.
Behind closed doors, you're gonna make me feel bad, but in public, you're gonna be like, oh, what everybody else likes, I'd like too.
Yeah, and it's wild. And then like that'll even trick you into thinking that, oh, I can bring you more stuff. And you're like, it stops where everybody else stops.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, and it hurts. So like it's really good to like know that people are free from that, and that there's an after to that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like if anybody's in a situation like that, just think about your happiness. Be selfish, be selfish in that moment, because
for the first time in your life, because if you're in a situation like that, odds are you haven't been selfish, because selfish people don't really end up in situations where they're like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Being so compromising. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, selfishness in our situations got us to our happiness, right?
Very true.
I saw a video of Snoop Dogg saying, I thank myself for doing this. I thank myself for believing in me and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you do have to do that to get yourself to a point where you can be right for the right person.
Yeah. Because once you realize you're enough, you'll find what else adds to you. Because when you try to find anybody to fill in that gap, like you'll end up with anybody. Once you realize there aren't gaps and you just need somebody like actually by your side, a real companion, like you said, a ride or die, it's completely different. You won't settle.
It's funny you brought up dancing, because that reminded me that like one of the first videos I saw of JJ on his Instagram page was like him dancing. He's like, oh, this is probably silly, but this was me when I went like to dinner on vacation. And
I
was
jamming hard, dancing. I was like, you had me drunk, dancing so hard.
But the wild part is,
and I was like,
the exact same thing.
Oh, that's amazing. Because,
see,
like that's me 100%. I'm gonna be dancing the most ridiculous way constantly. If you see me at my booth, that's what I'm doing.
And what's so funny is when she says that, I went on her Instagram and I went on her story.
Exactly.
And like, you know how they have the thing, then she has the dancing thing. I was like, oh shit. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
Dancing like a weirdo.
Yeah.
Well, look.
100% sober. I'll be like, wait a minute, y'all playing music. I said, hold on. Let's catch your vibe. Like, what are you doing?
I love it.
Time I didn't know that was something that like meant so much to me, because I didn't know a lot of guys who did dance and just like be silly
freely.
So I was just like, that's just not really a thing, I guess. But like when I saw it, I was like, oh yes.
Like I ain't got no image of hold. I'm happy and I'm having fun and I'm turning it up like what the next man gotta say? Hey, tell me nothing about me.
No. Look, I've already made the worst fun of myself, and I've said the worst things about myself that anyone could ever say. So you ain't got nothing on me.
Good luck. You ain't got nothing.
Good luck. I'm gonna do what makes me happy.
Exactly.
I don't care what I look like.
The only problem is it's like that song, "Don't Let Me Get Me."
Right.
Sometimes I do. I'll be like, damn, I really love myself.
That's why you got to have a good crew.
Exactly. That's
Good
what a
crew
good
around
tribe
you.
is for, a good group.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you know what? Y'all's dancing. You guys got some amazing TikToks. Like y'all's TikToks are so fun.
Oh,
Or
thank
your
you.
whatever your
Thank
videos
you.
that y'all are making.
Hey,
are
I
so
appreciate
fun,
that.
Thank
always.
you so much.
You know, she inspires me. I see her start to move, and I'm like, okay, man, let's.
Yeah.
We have fun. We have fun at work.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have fun at work.
But so now in your current relationship, what does romance mean to you? What is romance looking like in your relationship?
Oh, well, you know, knowing that they're paying attention or appreciation, you know, for things, right? Not always like, it doesn't always have to be verbal. It doesn't always have to be every day, but someone just reminding you, you know, of the way that you felt in the beginning of this relationship.
Yes.
Or that, you know, you did the dishes, like, thank you for doing that, you know, like, or whatever, you know, that person is doing. Like that kind of stuff really, I feel like that's the underlying kind of deep love stuff. Because trust me, I love, you know, a pinch and a smack on the ass and like all the cute little things that you
of
do,
course.
right? But it's the little things that, like, when you're feeling some kind of way inside and that person, without even knowing, does something that means something to you, or that validates how you're feeling, or that just, you know, makes you remember that you're not alone in this. Like those are the moments that like create those sparks and build that fire, you know, and that allow for the fun things to kind of build up and happen.
Oh yeah, that visibility.
It does. Just being seen changes the
Mhm.
game. Like that's a whole different.
For sure.
Yeah. You know, the other day, and this is getting real.
Hey, look. Hey, be like that.
Yeah, the other day, you know, we're women, me and Charlie, right? So our bodies go through things and we feel different ways and we don't like how we look. And I, you know, I said to him, like, and my stomach was so like out and bloated. I was like, please don't judge me. And like, I almost cried when he told me this. He's like, I never judge you. Because in my mind, I'm constantly thinking about how are people looking at me? How are people perceiving me? This is, why do I look like this? Like, and especially to the person I love the most, I want to look the best, right? But ever since he told me that, and it wasn't even like he told me in a way like it was meaningful or anything. He was just like, it was completely honest. I never
It's just
see
real.
you that way. Yeah. And it's one of those things where you're just like that's the thing that really means something to you. Because for me, that's a deep, you know, issue, problem, whatever. Like I feel judged constantly, and you know, like we're in the spotlight, so we have eyes on us all the time, and that's something that we have to deal with. So to have someone just say like, I don't see you that way, I see you as beautiful as you always are, it's like
right.
Shout out to him. I knew Josh was a real one.
And a lot of times I think JJ says like, I think these things, but then I don't really think to say them. And so now he's like purposely reminding himself to say them out loud because he thinks I already know, you know, because he just feels that. And so now he'll say certain things out loud. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. And I always say it's like important for you to say them out loud, because even if you say it like just once, I can go back to that memory of you saying this thing and I can remember that that's what the fact is. And the fact is not whatever I'm making up in my head. It's what you verbally said to me. So I have proof. I have to prove it to myself. I have to lie.
Mind palace. I got it.
Right. Right. What do you think romance looks like for us?
I think romance looks like one, acceptance.
Yeah.
Because like both of us coming from relationships where maybe we weren't all of ourselves, I think romance is kind of like not only being a part of the thing, but like really embracing it. Like before this relationship, I had no idea what RuPaul's Drag Race was. I didn't know anything.
Oh, my poor child.
You know what's wild? I'm in a league now, and we did we win?
Yeah, we won.
Nice.
So hey, so let me say
I saw when y'all posted that actually.
Yeah.
Not for nothing. I learned the terms. I know what hog body is.
I know.
I know what cinched is. I know the difference between a kiki and a kai now. Okay? Attention.
That's right.
So like,
open it up your mind.
The thing is like, not for nothing. We've had a lot of good memories, a lot of stuff that like both of us have exposed each other to.
Yeah.
Like basketball. I know how much you did not like that before me.
Yeah.
But now you tolerate it, and you say the term.
Now I tolerate it.
No, not for nothing. Not for nothing. Yeah. She really does though. But then only that she'll like it sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And I appreciate. She took me to my first NBA game. Yeah. So look,
I saw that. Hey,
look, so I'm not gonna say anything. I'm very appreciative because I feel seen.
Yeah.
Kind of like you were saying. So for me, romance is just the fact that no matter who we're growing into, I never want to grow apart. As long as we're growing together, I don't care who you want to be. Be whoever you want to be. Grow however you need to grow. Just don't grow apart from me.
Right. As long as y'all can grow together.
Yeah, literally. That is where the romance is. Anything that happens in between, we can do whatever. We can dance, we can play video games.
You know what? It's fun right now to get freaky. We're young. We can do all kinds of
crazy
shit. But you know, one day it's not always going to be that way, and you got to build that. You got to build that foundation. You know,
like
on all that stuff.
Yeah, not for nothing. I don't care what happens. At the end of the day, it's gonna be me and her until the sun blows up.
Like, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When you said grow together, that's really what I was thinking, because I know for me personally, I've had so many self-discoveries like within this relationship, and from like autism diagnosis to like bisexuality and just a number of things. I'm like,
you discover yourself when you can be yourself, when you can experiment with things and try things. Like
I always told her, I was like, look, this has nothing to do with me. Whatever you need to do to figure you out, I'm here to love you through it, and I'm always going to be with you. Yeah. I was like, because inherently at the end of the day, you're still you. You discovered you wasn't do anything to me.
As long as you give me that love back, you know, and we have this love for each other, then I'm gonna love you through whatever.
She always does. That's one of those things where I never even had to question. That's why I was like, go ahead, like figure out who you are, because like I know who you are, so I'm not pressed, you know.
Yeah.
So since we're on a nerdy podcast, do you guys think your fandoms help or hinder romance?
In the past or present?
Either.
Oh,
you go first. Yeah, you go first.
All right, I'll start this off. In the past, we grew up like, oh my goodness, none of this was popular. Like, I mean, I told you how I had to get my anime stuff. I used to go to the flea market. I ain't gonna lie to you. I used to have to walk down the boulevard. My dad knew the dude who like were in the hot dog truck.
Yeah.
Later was my uncle, which was funny. But then like, and I would go by like officially licensed anime movies of like Dragon Ball Z and other kind of things. They would have the wrong cover box and have the sometimes they had subtitles, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes the subtitles was in Spanish, but guess what? I was consuming it. Like that's just how I like, you know, back in the day, this is how I got it.
Everybody passed it around too. Like it was coming on
too. No, I used to rent them out for $1. I used to be like,
nah.
You ain't gonna know what it's saying. No, I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, look, there's no.
Wait. What in your title when you announce yourself? Didn't it say something like Boss Man or something?
Oh, J-Sauce the boss.
The boss. See, you are at a young age already making boss moves.
That's right.
I was like, I said, look, this ain't gonna air in America in like the next 6 years.
You want to see this?
You try to be on the cutting edge. You're not gonna know what they're talking about. When the topic does come out, you're gonna be like, I peeped the game. Like, wow, how late are you?
Those underground animes.
But to be completely honest, in like my actual marriage, it hindered only because that person wasn't willing to accept all of me. They liked parts of me, and the parts they liked, they really liked. But the other parts, I'm not gonna say they hated, they just ignored. And just like if you don't water a plant, it withers. So eventually, like I just didn't even bring that part to them. And then like if I ever did, sometimes I was met with such resistance to the point that like one of the things they said a lot that used to really bother me is they would be like, oh, when you finally decide to grow up, we need to go to dinner and like celebrate and do this. And it used to like hit me because I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we have a mortgage on the
What
house.
does that
I pay the bills, I do the
mean?
work, I do all the things. I was like, at what point am I not a grown up? Like,
Yeah.
like that sounded wild to me. And it also used to hurt, but you know, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'll push it down. It won't bring it to you. But like the fact that I'm in a functional relationship now where it completely unhinders, I don't even know what to say, inhibits.
Like, I feel like it opens opportunity.
Oh my goodness. It's like, it's endless. Like we do everything. Like we can game to the point that I'm like, would you want to stream this? And then we could, or we could just keep it for ourselves. Like it just opens up. Like it's so crazy to live a life that I can keep to myself or monetize because it's all amazing. Yeah. And it's the same life. And I don't have to be fake.
Yeah.
Cameras on, cameras off. It's the same shit. Yeah. There's one, like, you know what? I feel like my fandom and being honest to who I am, and that like not only will I be on the basketball court and I'll give you 30, but I read manga. Like I read comics. I love Marvel, DC. Yeah. And like I believe like I have socks. I have Iron Man. Like no lie. So like I'm not going like to be able to say all that and be with somebody who's like, not only do I love that, but let's do more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love the consistency it brings. So I feel like now my fandoms not only bring me like they don't hinder, they bring balance. Like it's like consistency. Like I found some semblance of peace.
Yeah, right? Yeah, where you can just be yourself. You don't have to hide, right?
Yeah. There's like I said, I'm on Instagram and I can be like, ooh, look at this trailer. And she's like, I already sent it to you.
Like, check your
DM. I love you so
much. I've done that to Josh before too, for sure.
Right.
For sure. Oh my God. But yeah,
like you're late.
You don't have to worry about it, right? You can be free. And that opens up like, because it's very similar to my situation, right? Like it wasn't that we just did not have a lot in common, you know, and we weren't discussing those other things. So we weren't exploring those other things. And towards the end of my relationship, when I did start to explore those things is when I realized like, once again, this is my life. I got to stop wasting time in a way, you know, but in the like fun side of things, like cosplay is sexy. Yeah. And like cosplaying together is very sexy. Right? You know, y'all know. So getting to do that kind of stuff and getting to help each other into those costumes or situations or you know, like it's fun and it keeps the spark alive and you get to be nerdy and do that kind of stuff. And it's just like that's what you want out of a relationship level. And especially when it comes to nerdy stuff, because nerds, like we said, now it's more acceptable. But back in the day, like you weren't allowed to like that kind of stuff. You weren't allowed to talk about that kind of stuff. And to be with someone who just unashamedly likes that kind of stuff and who can bring you into that kind of stuff. And then you can share that passion together. You know, it keeps it exciting. It keeps it spicy. And those kind of worlds always kind of bleed into each other, you know.
Girls collide.
Yeah.
I have to resist from like treating JJ like a Ken doll or something. Or you can put on this costume.
Hey. You know what? I'm not mad at it because you know what? I forgot what it was, but I promised her, it's for your birthday that I was gonna do something she really wanted me to do, and I called it Beast Boy.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah, that was so cute.
Had to get
that was the dream cosplay. So I was like, yay, we did it. But
right.
More on that list.
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
I said, perfect. Now the list is forever.
You know what's kind of funny? Like Josh and I, we do couples cosplays, but we tend to do some different things. But Josh will do a cosplay and I'll help him work on it and make it, but then I'll take it and then I'll make it my own. And in a way, like to me, that's right. Okay. But it's like, it works. And like, I don't know. It's like, that's an even more intimate thing because this was something that was so important to you and you loved it. And now I get to share that with you, you know, and I look cute and hot and sexy in it. And like, you get to see me that way in it. And like, you know,
anytime she takes something of mine, like it's already 10 times better. I'm like,
right.
I said, why did I even do this for myself?
I was gonna say,
sorry.
What comes to mind is the Doctor Strange that you guys have.
Our shared Doctor Strange.
Yes, it's amazing. But yeah, I do wear all of JJ's costumes. I wore Frozone, and
yeah, I remember that.
I wore Frozone. I steal whatever I can. I can't wait to steal Tengen soon from It's happening. It's happening.
Right, my Hellboy, my Hell Babe, that was Josh's. Like Doctor Strange, definitely so we built my Ash from Ash versus Evil Dead, or Army of Darkness. But Josh had done that in college. Like he was already making stuff in college.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he's been living this kind of life for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm real lucky to have gotten that, like kind of like you and JJ. He got the experience with you.
Yeah.
Like I got that with Josh. He brought a lot of that experience to the table.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. Like I feel like cosplay has been so much for us. But also just even the way we got closer when we were long distance, I feel like was all because of comic books and just little things like that. Even outside of cosplay being the reason you reached out to me in the first place and the reason we met, but also like there were days I felt super alone. Like after my divorce, I was living with my parents with both my kids, and we're sharing a room, and my kids have bunk beds, so there's not really room for me to have a bed in there. So then I'm like throwing blankets in the closet and just laying in the closet. And I would be on FaceTime with JJ, and he would get his blanket and go in his closet, and he would be like, let's read our comic books. And we'd buy the same comic book, and then we'd take turns who was reading that night or something. We'd be reading like Miss Marvel or Saga,
and then we'd be taking shots, and that's how
taking shots.
Yeah.
The dirty closet pals.
I know that's how we got our name.
I put LEDs in my little.
I love it.
It's turned.
Yeah. I love it. Those are the tender moments.
Yeah, nerdy stuff has always.
I was like, man, let me tell you something. I don't care about a struggle. We came up.
It's been our love language. I feel like.
Yeah.
As long as you, I'll ride.
Yeah. People struggle and people change and people got stuff, and you got to decide if you're gonna that's the ride that you want to get on or not, right?
Exactly.
And when you
I bought a lifetime pass. Fucking
that's right. That's right. This ride don't stop.
Right.
Never, This is a ride that never ends.
Exactly. I was gonna ask how you keep it spicy, but clearly we already talked about cosplay also.
you know.
Yeah.
But do you have any other tips or anything else? Like I know that with Josh being a photographer and he does a lot of your like pinup shoots and things like that. Does that add to the romance?
Oh, absolutely. I would fully recommend couples. Well, and however you feel comfortable, each other one way, like photographing each other or photographing your partner, because it's a very intimate kind of thing to do. And you can kind of let your guard down a little bit, and you can kind of like assume these personas that maybe you don't feel comfortable doing normally, but because you're taking a picture, doing whatever, you can kind of like ease into that.
Yeah. It's like you take it for your person. It's completely different.
Right. And that's kind of why I prefer to shoot with Josh, because we have that connection, and like I know like when we shoot what it's going to turn out like, and like I can trust what he does. And like that's why I always like for him to shoot with my friends, because like I know if he's going to make me look good, he's going to make y'all look good. Right? He's so good at. Oh my god, he's so good at it.
Because I actually got to meet Josh, and we had such a great time.
So that's funny too, because my first boudoir shoot, that's when you met Josh.
Isn't that funny?
I was like, I'm gonna go outside of my comfort zone for my birthday, and I was like, the only person I trust right now.
And you know what? And it was so funny. I was there, and shout out to Josh. He's not here right now, but whenever we have the next podcast, I mean, he's more than welcome.
Oh yeah, he'd love that.
But for sure, he has a very creative eye. Like I
Mhm.
like his angles and just like everything he was doing, it was just like, yeah, of course. Like it's one of those things where you just sit back and be comfortable and like,
Yeah.
he's got
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even
He's
outside of that, like for my OnlyFans page and stuff like that, you do all of my pictures for that because
yeah.
I feel most comfortable with you, clearly. And like I'm not
And I take my time too.
You know this
Yeah.
because me and you did a pinup calendar together.
Mhm.
At that time, I was so new to anything sexy that I was like, just dress me and tell me what to do. I don't even.
It was amazing.
Can I tell you something? She's got it figured out now.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey.
You had it figured out back then, girl.
Thank you.
You know what? Give me some. I appreciate that answer. But like seriously, whenever I take it now, I try to like really think about the angles that I know she likes. Like you said, when you know somebody, you know how they want to be perceived and what they're going for. I play the right music. I'll play the right songs. I want you to be in the right mood. I want you to feel like what you're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
And she does that for me too. It's so wild. Like to have somebody who knows what you want out of a moment.
Yeah. Well, that's the turn on, right?
Yeah,
the turn on is you getting pleasure, making your partner happy.
Yeah.
That's the turn on. So
like, I love knowing that like the product that I'm creating for her, it's like, wow, I only want you to do that. I'm like, only who? Like,
right? Right? Yep. Yep. I always remind everybody too, like, don't forget when the time was you would have been begging to be rubbing some feet or to be taking these pictures. Like, I love men and all, but don't y'all forget, like,
people start to complain after time, like over time. And I think that's also one thing I really appreciate about you because, like, one, I want to do things that help us to connect, but I also have a business to run. And I also just want to feel like I'm not a burden on somebody and they might want to enjoy doing the things I enjoy doing.
Right.
And so a lot of people in the past have been like, oh, we have to still do this. Or after like 2 pictures, they're like, we're still taking pictures. And it's like, oh my gosh, you don't see how hot I am?
Yeah, like seriously, right?
Photo.
Yeah. And you want to be with a person who feels that way.
We will shoot for like an hour and a half, and then afterwards, I'm like, so you sending me those, right? Like I need
That's
right.
Always.
I was like, I need those for me. I'm like, and don't you ask why.
They're all for you. They're
right. Of course. He's like, but send them on random days. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
Right away. No. I need them. I'm like, damn, work sucks today. I'll be like, today was shitty. And they'll be like the eyes emoji.
Now my time.
Yes.
I'm like, damn, woe is me.
I'm so sad. I'm so
sad.
Right.
I'm like, damn, if only anything could brighten my day.
Right.
I wonder what it could be.
And then afterwards I'm like, it's not so bad. It's
not so
bad. So we talked about spicing it up, but what about when the romance is a little low and you want to like spark things? Do you have any like go-tos for when things need to spice up?
If there's been a lull going on, I go for a lot of the classics. Like I'm a good, like I set the tone in the bedroom, right? First you gotta make sure that y'all are in a good place, right?
Right.
If things are not where they should be, what's going on at the root of it? But once we get that going, right? Like I like some incense burning, I like some nice like low lights going, right?
Setting a vibe. I feel it.
Do you know what we play way too much?
What?
Star Wars lo-fi hip hop.
Hey,
on repeat. Sets the tone.
I feel like we need to look that up.
Hey,
y'all, I will send you the link.
Look, the force is strong with those ones over there.
That's right. That's right. But also like just asking, how are you feeling? What are you feeling like? Sometimes even if you're the one lacking in whatever's needed, being there for your partner and just offering yourself to your partner or, appreciating their opinion on things and then trying to like make those things happen for them can bring you out of something, right? It's all about mentality and attitude, I think. And I think every day and every moment we choose our mentality and our attitude, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, you gotta bring that everywhere. You bring it into the bedroom, and maybe sometimes you're dressed up like Velma, and maybe sometimes you're not. Jinky.
I definitely feel that. I feel like a lot of our most intimate moments end up being like the times where one of us is allowing the other one the space to talk about something or to really get something off your chest or just have a deeper conversation. And I feel like that always makes us feel a lot closer, and that it always leads to
that. Right? When you feel relaxed.
I just throw a little booty also.
Yeah.
Wait. She said a little booty. A lot. Yeah.
We
I'm
can't
like,
help it.
wait. She said she want to sleep. I'm like, not with that wagon you drag. We gotta get back up. What are we doing? What are we talking about?
It ain't that late yet.
What do you do? What's your big move? No.
My big
move. The toe? Is it the toe rub? Rub the little toe on her
leg. My gosh. He gives so many foot rubs. Like every time I feel like I sit down near him, then he immediately grabs my foot.
And it was so funny though, because if I crack, you know what's so funny though? But here's the funny part. Let me massage one foot and crack the toe and then just like stop.
I know.
She throws the other leg out.
Come on. Yeah.
Like, so what the fuck was that about? And
right.
then like,
the other
foot, exactly.
Yeah.
And then like, the same thing, like she'll rub my shoulders and my neck or whatever in the morning, like when I first wake up, and just like make sure that the day like starts good. So like, I feel like my big move is honestly just anticipating her needs. Like there's certain things that I know she's going to need every single day. And I try to make sure that those things are met, whether I'm here or not. And I'll be like, oh, I'm not here, but this is there, this is there, this is here. And then like that shows that I genuinely care, because it has nothing to do with me. Like I just really want you to be okay, completely independent of me. So I feel like a part of the romance is like, or like, I know you've had a long day or whatever. I already picked up dinner, like I've got things handled, like just
food. That's the key.
Or like
that's the big one.
Exactly. But I try to do all the little things that I can that'll like add up to consistency, and I try to be consistent. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be a special event. Like I want it to feel like Tuesday, but that Tuesday doesn't suck. Literally, that is what I want the relationship to feel like with me. I want it to be Tuesday, and you'd be like, damn, it's Tuesday. This shit felt like a Friday night, like a Saturday.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of what we've been saying the whole time, right? Yeah. Listen to your partner. No, listen to what they want and what they need. Appreciate them, right? Appreciate your partner. Plant those little seeds. Choose every day that you want that love, that you want that connection, that you want that, and that keeps the spark alive. It keeps the love.
And to be completely honest, sometimes I don't get it right. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and you don't want to do it, right? Some days you just don't want to do it. You're tired. You're in a bad mood.
What I will tell her though is I'm sorry, and like I'll really try to be better, and I try not to do the same thing twice. Like I really genuinely, like if I make a mistake, like I'll own up to it, and sometimes it's not immediate because like I said, I make mistakes, but I always, like at the end of the day, like it's me and her. And it's just like sometimes I feel like accountability is a part of romance, because I feel like being in a romantic relationship means being accountable, not just for yourself, but like for your actions and like how you made other people feel. Sometimes accountability is just apologizing for, even if you didn't necessarily mean to hurt somebody's feelings, somebody's feeling hurt. And if you care about them, then you gotta give them that because you love them. And so like I feel like that's a big part of romance, because I'll admit when I'm wrong. Like I'm man enough to say like, hey, I'm not perfect. I made a mistake. This had nothing to do with you. I had the off day. I'm like, you were shooting 100% from the field, and I just I was just off my game that day.
But you know what? Sometimes that reassurance is all your partner needs. Just to know, hey, I'm picking up on something. I just want to know I'm not the one. I didn't do something to you. If you're having a thing, I'm here for you. If you're having a thing, right? I just want to know that I did not create any tension. There's no tension here between us, right? We are humans, and because we choose to cohabitate doesn't mean we're not two completely different human beings with feelings and emotions and like good days and bad days. And we got to accommodate each other for that and understand those. One big thing for me was like, you get into these moods, like if you get depressed and that can go on and you realize like you're not there for your partner. You're not giving your partner what they need. You can get so wrapped up in your own kind of negativity that you just completely close off that thing. And sometimes what can get you out of that is realizing I need to at least show up for my partner. If I can't show up for myself today, let me show up for my partner. And then I can build on that and build on that.
And I feel like Charlie is really good at that. Like, I really will commend you. I feel like there's days where you feel like you don't have it for you, and I see you going above and beyond for everybody around you. And like, that is something that like is commendable. And I try my best to learn from your example in that. And I know that I'm always primarily positive, but I know there's some days where it's just like, dang, like if I don't have it in the tank, I'll look at you and I'll be like, oh no, I gotta find it though.
Yeah.
Because she deserves it. You know what I mean? Like, and you just, it's almost like an anime or something. You're like, whoa, new power unlocked. Like, I can't do it for me, but guess what I can make happen for you?
Yeah.
Hard, because the push has to come from within you. And in those moments, and like when you're depressed and things like that, like how can you even find that in you? So it's just a very difficult cycle, but it does definitely help to have people who are worthwhile and worth that effort.
Yeah.
Look to.
And give you the space and the time and the security to get through it too, right? While you're working through it.
Oh, for sure.
That changes the game because, just having somebody who understands that, like, you're going through something and that it might not look like what they thought it would look like, but they're here. That changes everything because you actually get to like heal from it instead of, because most of the time in the world, you'll have a situation where something goes wrong. There's no healing. There's just you thinking about it and somebody bringing it back up and just like hashing it. But when you're with your person who really cares about you, there's some sort of healing. There's some like, we'll talk about it and we'll be like, and then you don't repeat habits and then you don't have to think about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I try to look out at other couples, that are good examples of just relationships that are strong and like, what did they do? And I go back to, the Obamas a lot because like that is a strong relationship. They went through some shit and like they've been through shit their whole lives, right? Because you're smart, you're powerful, you're in love, you're not ashamed, and like that's a relationship where they constantly are talking about like we work on it every day. We talk to each other every day. We build the strength. We believe in our power. We believe in the power of our love and our relationship, and that's super important because they're big celebrity, former president, first lady, but like celebrity here in America, right? Huge. You see other celebrities too who are just like crumbling and failing and who kind of profess those sorts of things but can't really live those sorts of things that they're saying. And so I try to look at all these good examples, whether it be people in my family, like my grandparents. They were hilarious and funny and fought and yelled and loved and all these amazing things to the very end, right? They were each other. And like I try to look at those examples. So, personal examples, powerful examples, like what do I want to model this relationship after? And it can be, sometimes you can feel like alone, like you were saying, even if you're in the most beautiful, loving relationship, the person who knows you can still feel alone. And you have to like be able to look at examples and think like, okay, I know what it's like to be a human person. I know those are human people and they're still doing it and they're still making it. What are they doing, to make it happen? And so I just try to like focus on those things and pick good examples. I feel like we're at an age now where I feel like we're kind of, whether we want it or not, slipping into that mentor role.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
and it's so important for me, especially with young women, to like try to be a good example and give them the information that I didn't have coming up and try to give them the confidence that I didn't have. Not that I didn't have strong, powerful women in my life. Right. But, it's sometimes it's just hard. you know. And when you're a nerd, it's really hard.
Yeah, and it's a new generation, right?
Yeah.
So now there's a lot more things that we're able to do and able to say and able to whatever. And so we're just trying to navigate.
Exactly.
A lot of sense. That makes so much sense because, like, for me, I always want to be a role model to like the younger people coming up underneath me, but even people in my generation. Like, if something's crazy and like it doesn't align with what my sensibilities are, I'll say it.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like if you're in a relationship, be in a relationship. If you're single, be single. But like, don't do whatever. And if you can't live in your truth at this point, then that's not for you. Because I always tell you, if you ever have to lie to get anything, it's not really yours. Like whatever it is, whether if you had to lie to get that job, whether you had to lie to get a car, it's not really yours. So it's the same thing with your relationship. If you're out here doing whatever you got to do, and like you could be living your best life with somebody who understands you and is willing to accept you at that and be your baseline and never have to lie a day in your life.
Yep.
And do that. But like if you can't do that, then I'm not gonna help you live your
life. Yeah, you can't have that.
And it's hard though, because sometimes people won't want to be you're all good. People won't want to be friends with somebody that won't let you live your lie because they're like, let me do my thing in peace. And I'm like, but I won't because I can't. I can't. It hurts.
Yeah, I can't be around that. I can't let that bleed into my
exactly because I was gonna say that's gonna rub off and I don't
will.
Yeah.
Our parents told us you are who you hang around with. And we always thought that was crap. Right?
What does my dad always say?
You're not hanging around them.
You're
not being a
follower. No, I ain't never been a follower because my dad said they followed people straight into ruin. He was like, you don't got to run with a lot of people. He was like, think for yourself. And I always have. And I really appreciate that because even in a relationship, it helps me to be the kind of person where I was like, whoa, you're going to go do what? All right, cool. I was like, that's wild because like.
One thing you said is remembering that people are human. And that's one thing that I've really been focused on recently because JJ always says, and now I'm losing it. I had it.
You got it.
But anyways, you always say something very similar to that. That's you say that everybody is a main character in their own story. You know, and you might think like, oh, things always happen to me, or you might think, oh my gosh, why is this person doing this to me? Why is this happening around me? You know, things like that. When really that's also happening to them, and that's also their story.
Yeah. Everybody's on Netflix season 3, episode 2, and it's about them. Like,
every single person is going through that same thing. So you have to give people the same grace and leniency that you would want them to have for you. And I know for me personally, I'm sure that autism plays a hand in this, but like I make rules in my head where like, if I see this, it means this, you know what I mean? And so I'm learning in this relationship because you grew up completely different from me. You have a completely different personality and you approach life differently than I do. Because we have all these things in common, but that doesn't mean that that your way is incorrect. It also doesn't mean that when I'm louder, it doesn't mean that I'm angry. Because I come from a loud family and we all talk like this. And when he's quiet, it doesn't mean that he's ignoring me. He doesn't want to talk to me, or that he's not present in this conversation. It might mean that in your family, you guys are very short with like, you guys don't have